Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. We're going to talk about Ripple XRP. Crushing regulations could drive Ripple out of the US, meaning they actually might move the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, or Japan, which are four countries with favorable crypto regulations. Let me just remind you, just because you move out of the US does not actually mean you don't have to deal with US regulations. The US is the by far the biggest money market in the world. The second biggest one would be China, and they're not friendly towards crypto either, so that's not really an option. If you want to deal in the US, and a lot of the monetary flow actually does go through the US, you're going to have to deal with regulations anyway. So just basically uprooting yourself from the US does not mean you don't have to deal with US regulations. Just because Bitfinex or BitMEX is not located in the US does not mean they don't have to follow US regulations. BitMEX is finding that out the hard way. Ripple is trying to abide by regulations, but obviously crushing regulations here are actually hindering their progress. By moving to one of the countries, therefore mentioned UK, Switzerland, Singapore, Japan, they can actually expand easier in that country with better regulations. However, there obviously are advantages of being in the US. Obviously, it's much easier to work with US companies if you're in the US, and a lot of the money is actually in the United States, at least a lot of the disposable money. So that is kind of like the ups and downs, the good and bad sides of leaving the US or staying in the US. But they could leave the US because honestly, the regulations here are pretty bad. So Ripple is considering relocating to Europe or Asia amid growing frustration at the lack of regulatory clarity in the United States. And I think it's going to be the UK or Switzerland because remember the EU says they're not going to have joint crypto regulations until about 2024. So that obviously doesn't help them. But the UK is ahead of the game. Speaking to Fortune magazine's John Jeff Roberts at the October 6th LA Blockchain Summit, Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen said the United States was woefully behind in preparing for the cryptocurrency-based next generation of global financial system. Coupled with U.S. authorities' policy on regulation through enforcement, and Ripple may consider leaving the country behind entirely for a better environment, obviously. And many, like Binance keeps on doing this from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So there are many companies that have actually done this. The message is blockchain and digital currencies are not welcome in the US. And that's true. I mean, if you look at the Ken ruling lately and you look at some of the other prosecutions lately, that definitely leaves some people worried. You want to be in this business, you probably should be going somewhere else. To be honest with you, we're even looking at relocating our headquarters to a much more friendly jurisdiction. Now, it will take them some time to do this, and obviously there's disadvantages of doing that, but it is a viable play. Larson stated the firm was considering moving to countries like the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, Japan, because the US lags behind in all things blockchain and digital currency start and end, with regulatory bodies like the SEC and other regulatory bodies. Of course, the UK obviously has the FCA, and other countries already also have their SEC, but they're actually much more friendly towards crypto. I don't think the posture at the SEC today can possibly get worse for the crypto and blockchain industry. It's just crush and push it away. And that is a lot due to the chairman, which is Jay Clayton. His term actually expires next year, but it will actually take quite a while for that attitude to actually change around. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse explained further in a tweet, responsible players like Ripple aren't looking to avoid rules. We just don't want to operate in a jurisdiction where the rules are, we just want to operate in a jurisdiction where the rules are clear. Ripple faces a number of class action lawsuits alleging the firm sold its XRP token in unregistered securities offering. They really haven't dismissed all those yet, so they do have like a reason to actually fear that. But like I said, if you are outside the US, there are hurdles in working with US and partnering with US companies. As a result, the crypto firm continues to be called out to court partly over an apparent lack of regulatory clarity from the government agency. A federal judge recently denied a motion by Ripple to dismiss a lawsuit filed by investor Vladi Zikhanov in 2018, alleging that XRP token is a security under California law. So there's multiple lawsuits actually hitting at Ripple, especially with XRP, and that's part of the reason they're actually looking to move out, because then they won't have all these lawsuits actually hitting them, and they might actually be able to actually do something with XRP. Will they? We don't really know, but it is possible that they actually move outside the US. There are pros and cons. But moving to a friendly regulatory jurisdiction might actually make sense for the time being until the U.S. gets its act together. Now, will the U.S. actually take this as a threat? I don't think they really care, honestly. Yeah, there's basically this basically shows there's no like plans within plans within plans or anything. Like all that stuff was like nonsense, and they're actually looking to move away from the U.S. almost, unless the U.S. actually straightens up. But unless like you're like a top 5, top 10 company or something like that. the US generally doesn't pay that much attention to you. And I don't think they're going to rush regulations just for this. Now, to be fair, there are congressmen who are pushing regulations, but there's just not enough of them. So perhaps they move, perhaps they don't. But if they stay in the States, they're probably going to have to wait for several more years. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.